In the previous video, we looked at average CAPEX. Now, let's move on to a key analysis for decision-making. How does this CAPEX vary depending on the size of the photovoltaic plant? Here, we can understand the real economies of scale by comparing three common utility scale segments. 1. 50 to 100 MWP plants. 2. 100 to 250 MWP plants. 3. 250 to 500 MWP plants. Let quote S look at the investment ranges and the cost per peak watt for 50-100 MWP between 46 cents and €0. 51 WP, total estimated investment of €23 to €51 million. For 100-250 MWP between 42 cents and €0. 46 WP, investment of €42 to €115 million. At 200 and 5,500 MWP, it drops to 38 cents, 0.42/WP, with investments between €95 and €210 million. As we can see, the largest projects save between 8 and 13 cents per watt compared to the smallest ones. The bar chart shows how these savings are distributed among the different CAPEX components. In modules, the cost falls from 18 cents to €0. 16 WP, 11%. Structures, inverters, and civil works also show significant reductions, around 23.3%. The economies of scale are most noticeable in substation and connection, 38.5%. Engineering and permitting, 42.9%. SCADA and systems, 40%. This is because many costs are fixed or semi-fixed and are better spread across higher capacity plants. The table below summarizes this variation. A 5100 MWP plant has an average CAPEX of €0. 50/WP. While a 250-500 MWP plant reduces this to €0. 383/WP. This represents a 23.4% improvement due to the power of the photovoltaic plant alone, a saving of more than €10 million for a 300 MWP project compared to an 80 MWP project using the same technology. What makes this possible? Greater negotiating power with suppliers, especially modules and transformers. Amortization of fixed costs, permits, SCADA, electrical engineering. Logistics and construction efficiency. Fewer interconnection points, fewer access points, greater continuity of work. Standardization of designs and clusters or project portfolios. For teams designing or financing portfolios of photovoltaic projects, this table offers a clear roadmap. Opt for plants 250 MWP when feasible due to grid connection and access. Consolidate nearby projects to share substations or connection points. Standardize electrical designs, MV schemes, SCADA, layouts. For multiple locations. Plan coordinated purchases with logistical savings. These types of decisions not only reduce CAPEX, but also improve the LCOE and bankability of the project. Therefore, the power of a photovoltaic plant is not just a question of size, it is a direct lever of profitability. Now let's analyze how the unit prices of the main components of a utility-scale plant have evolved, and, above all, what is expected for the next 6 to 12 months. This analysis is crucial for developers and financial engineers who need to update LCOE models, PPA contracts, and profit margins. The graph above shows the trend of the main components from November 2024 to May 2025. Photovoltaic modules have gone from €0.196 to €0. 16 WP, 18.4%. Inverters have dropped to €0. 0.5 WP, 8.3%. Structural costs have decreased slightly to €0. 0.6 WP, 2.1%. Total CAPEX has decreased by 12.6%, stabilizing at €0. 38/WP. This sustained reduction is a direct reflection of the post-logistics normalization and the oversupply of photovoltaic panels. The graph below anticipates the possible evolution through November 2025. Modules are expected to remain stable, around 14 cents, 0.16/WP. Inverters and structures are expected to maintain similar prices, with slight corrections if volumes consolidate. Total CAPEX is expected to remain below €0. 40 WP if current macroeconomic conditions continue. In summary, a stabilized trend is projected, with no rebounds, but with low margins. The four key factors that explain this trend are manufacturing capacity. There is an oversupply of modules and inverters, which is pushing prices down. Global logistics, improved Asia-Europe routes, falling freight rates, and reduced bottlenecks at ports. Raw materials, stabilization of polysilicon and aluminum reduces volatility. Financing, a moderately low interest rate environment, which improves CAPEX, but narrows margins for manufacturers. The most relevant points for developers and engineers in the planning phase are Q4 2025 is expected to be the point of price stabilization. Large volume module purchases could reach €0. 14/WP. Central inverters are down due to improved chip prices. Trackers and structures continue to be affected by steel prices. Tariff and local policies could impact prices in Q4, especially in Europe. Furthermore, there is increasing pressure from Asian manufacturers on European integrators, which is driving many to opt for local solutions. This favorable pricing environment offers a strategic window to close projects in Q4 2025 with competitive CAPEX. But beware, delivery times and the actual availability of key components can make the difference between theoretical profitability and actual profitability. Now, let's analyze who the leading manufacturers are for each of the key components in 2025, what the most disruptive technologies of the year are, and above all, their level of availability. Because remember, it's not enough to know which solution is most efficient. You have to know if it's available on time and in volume. The components are grouped into four blocks. Modules, BET 600 WP absolute leader, Longi Solar, with immediate delivery. Followed by JA Solar, Trina, Jinko, and Risen, with lead times of 2 to 8 weeks. 1P/2P structures, dominated by PVH, Spain, with deliveries in 4-6 weeks. Next are Enslave, Soltech, and GameChange, with more than 6 weeks. Inverters, 250 kW Huawei and SunGrow have rapid availability, 4-8 weeks. Ingiteam and SMA exceed 8 and 12 weeks, respectively. Gamesa Electric delivers in 10-14 weeks. MV/HV transformers. This is where the problems begin. ABB and Siemens are in the 12-20 week range. This is the main current bottleneck for projects over 250 MWP. We highlight three key advances. TOPCon 670 WP plus modules. Efficiency over 24.5%, improved thermal performance, 46% market share by 2025, and high availability. AI-powered trackers. Automatic backtracking systems with algorithms that detect shadows and optimize generation. They represent an additional 3.5% in kWh. Hybrid inverters with SiC, silicon carbide, more compact, lower losses, and a 0.8% increase in overall efficiency. Their problem is availability, still limited. This graph visually summarizes the major implementation challenge for large photovoltaic plants. Modules, 90% availability, no problems with large purchases. Structures, 80%, good coverage except in the case of logistical disruptions. Inverters, 65%, growing bottlenecks in central inverters. Transformers, only 40% availability, main logistical constraint today. The table below right makes this very clear. MVHV substations, the most serious bottleneck. Lead times can reach up to 20 weeks. Semiconductors, partial shortage of high-power inverters. Improvement expected in Q4 2025. Modules, oversupply due to Chinese expansion, guaranteeing immediate TOPCon and HJT deliveries. Key recommendation: reserve all critical equipment such as transformers, transformer substations, and substations more than 6 months in advance. As you can see, the choice of technology must always be accompanied by a joint availability and logistics analysis. Having the best module or inverter is useless if you can't deliver it on the project schedule. Now we address one of the most critical aspects in the execution of utility-scale photovoltaic plants: actual construction schedules and how they vary depending on the scale of installed capacity. This is where the difference between a successful project and one with cost overruns, contractual penalties, or the loss of grid connection opportunities lies. Let quote S look at the top. 5,100 MWP plants can be completed in 5 to 8 months, including piling, assembly, and electrical wiring phases. 100. 250 MWP plants. The duration increases to 7 to 10 months. 250. 500 MWP plants take between 9 and 14 months, with longer phases due to the substation and commissioning. Schedule duration does not scale linearly with capacity. Therefore, parallelization and prefabrication strategies are necessary. Below comma, we see actual productivity metrics for 2025. Post-driving, between 350 and 450 posts day, maximum 600 with advanced equipment. Module assembly, 3.5 to 5 MWP day per unit, maximum 7 MWP day if automated. LVMV cabling, between 4 and 5 kilometers of trenches day, estimated rate 12-15 days per MWP. These rates help calculate actual schedules based on the number of units, shifts, and logistics. 3 bottlenecks directly impact schedules: grid and substation connection. The longest delays, 2-3 months, are due to coordination with grid operators and the lack of available MVHV equipment. Piercing in complex terrain. If there are rocky soils or expansive clays, the piling rate can be reduced by up to 40%. Logistics and access. Many rural areas require temporary roads and storage space. This limits the installation pace and requires planning with drones and prior surveying. How can these lead times be reduced? Let's look at 3 key points: parallel construction, dividing the plant into independent blocks with simultaneous equipment. Savings of up to 25% on large projects, 250 MWP. Prefabricated MVLV modules. Use pre-wired and factory-tested transformer substations. This saves 3-4 weeks on electrical connection. Module assembly robots allow for rates of up to 9 MWP day with 40% less personnel. Highly recommended for plants over 250 MIP. These strategies are already being applied in projects in Brazil, Chile, and southern Spain, with good results. In short, the larger the plant, the greater the need to industrialize execution. Duplicating equipment is not enough. The project must be redesigned, robots must be integrated, prefabricated, and phased. In the next video, we will analyze the next key component of execution: specialized labor by phase and by technical profile.